Tapping in.
Are we live?
Yo, I'm a big fan of Push. Push is the artist that I'm always mad I didn't mention when we're talking about who's killing the game right now. And I think part of that is because Push is contributed so much to an area of music that he's the champion of, right? I think there's a difference between what Push does and what Griselda does, what some of the other Coke rappers do. And I think the difference is on full display, and It's Almost Dry by Pusha-T.
When it comes to luxury drug raps, you have to include a few people into that luxury drug raps conversation, and definitely in contention for maybe one of the best in that genre is Pusha T. Alongside, you have folks like Rick Ross, who you can consider into that as well. Jim Jones. Maybe if you want to sneak in some of the Griselda boys, I wouldn't necessarily fully encapsulate that as luxury drug rap all the time, but Pusha T definitely sticks close to that. Last we heard from Pusha T was off of Daytona in 2018. This is I loved Daytona when it first came out. I really dug it, but I was left wanting more, man. I was left wanting more. It was only seven songs. I think what's particularly interesting about this album when it dropped was the fact that Pusha T has stepped down as the president of Good Music, which he was before. So I was very interested to see what's going to happen. And leading up to this album, you saw Pusha T promoting a lot, repackaging a lot of his loose singles and loose songs that Pusha T had out and packaged them into different types of things. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. It looks like there's a reshuffling of the catalog, and I wonder what that impact will have on the album. Lo and behold, we get It's Almost Dry. Puts it out last week. I haven't stopped listening to it.
This one has been, sometimes an album comes out on a Friday and you run it and you're like, not in the right space. Gotta try this somewhere else. This wasn't one of those. This one, from the moment that it came on throughout the entire project, I think he hit. And that's, I think, kind of what separates Push from a lot of other artists, is that Push has the ability to take bigger risks on beats. He has the ability to take bigger risks in cadences and delivery. And he has an uncanny way of knowing how to make it not corny, how to make all of those risks hit the way that they're supposed to hit from the audience's perspective, right? Like, it's an execution thing, and Push has got it on lock.
Super locked down. And when we talk about experimental hip hop, one of the things that pops up to me is that Call My Bluff, right? Track 4 with Call My Bluff, where the sample is very empty. It's a hollow sample, so to speak. The beats and the cadence is a bit off kilter, a bit produced by Pharrell. But it connects. It definitely connects. And like you said, I think Push is so good in being able to find a pocket in almost every crevice of the beats that they give him. What is clear from the risks that he takes and how comfortable he is with them is that he's comfortable with the producers that he's working with. A lot of Pharrell on this album, a lot of Kanye on this album, and they're both flexing they're both flexing their producer prowess it's almost like a battle in beats in terms of which one sounds best, which one doesn't. My humble opinion, Pharrell washed Kanye on this album with the beats. Just to get into a few, Call My Bluff, Open Air, excuse me. Open Air, Neck and Wrist was Kanye, but that Brambleton as well, incredible.
Nah, Neck and Wrist was Pharrell too.
Neck and Wrist was Pharrell?
Yep.
Ooh.
So I heard that too when the album dropped, right? That it was like, oh, this is half Kanye, half Push. I didn't look at who produced what until this morning, and I wrote down my favorite tracks. And to not even to bury the lead, like 5 out of 6 of my favorites was Pharrell, right? And he kind of gives it a little bit away for those of y'all who don't know, deep hip hop heads, right? Pharrell got that 4-bar count in that whatever the first beat of the song is, you're gonna hear that 4 times. Dun, 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 and then go into the song. That's a Pharrell produced.
That's a Pharrell counting. Yeah.
But from Brambleton, which is like typical Push, first song on the album, that's Push being very intentional about delivering what we know Push can do. Then it's let the smoker shine the coops, bruh. That the way his approach to every verse on that joint, the way that his voice comes in, like it's crazy. And I actually watched the interview with him and Jimmy Fallon where he's telling Jimmy Fallon that he working with Push is actually much more difficult than working with Ye because Push is thinking about all those things, composing the cadence of
Pharrell.
every verse should go. Oh, you're right, Pharrell, my bad. Pharrell's composing all of those things. And it comes through, man. So the way that that song hits, the way that for like Push's delivery is complements Pharrell's beats right there is crazy. The one joint that Ye got that I just think can't be ignored is Rock and Roll. Like, sorry that Kid Cudi and Kanye ain't cool no more. But the way that that joint comes together, that song is made by somebody who knows how to make music, and that's the Ye showing a glimpse of how he still got it and deserves to be put up next to Pharrell. But it's On My Bluff, it's Open Air. Those are the joints, man.
The Rock and Roll, that's actually one of my least favorite songs on the album. Interesting that you say it's one of your favorites. It's one of my least favorite from the jump, man. That opening track is one of my favorite opening tracks in a long time. That Brambleton really is something special. The first 5 tracks of this album are no skip. First 6, from 1 to 6, it's just straight. Let the Smokers Shine the Coops, Dreaming of the Past. That feature in there, that the sample of it's a Donny Hathaway sample. It's a Donny Hathaway sample, absolutely super, super smooth. All the way to Diet Coke. If you like Rock and Roller Like My Brother, which then takes you to Call My Bluff, that's 8 out of 8 off of that alone. And then you jump into Hear Me Clearly, Open Air. Least favorite for me, Scrape It Out. Wasn't that crazy about the Uzi song. Rock and Roller, wasn't that crazy about it. And Pray For You. But that's 3 out of that's 9 out of 12, which for me I've just been going back to and back to and back to. That's a high percentage album in my book.
Big facts. Yeah, Scrape It Off was my least favorite too. Everything else I think here is fire. This is probably one of my favorite Push albums, and that's saying something for an artist that's been in the game so long to be still putting out stuff that's comparable, if not as good or better than his previous work. Here from more Pusha-T, man.
Mr. Miles Xavier, we've been very, very friendly with some of the ratings that we've been giving albums. Some people even are asking us, are these dudes too loose? Do these guys give off too many 4s and 4.5s and 5s? How come nobody gets a 2? How come nobody gets a 1? Well, it ain't starting today.
Nope.
It ain't starting today.
Yeah, nah, it ain't starting.
We ain't giving this a 2.
Nah, this is a 4 to me. This is a 4 to me.
Definite 4. This is a definite 4, I think, man. Yo, I really enjoyed this album. I'm so glad that it came out the way that it did. I'm glad that we got a lot more tracks out of this album. It looks like Pusha T's on a media tour of sorts. So I hope that means that an actual tour is coming soon. I hope a deluxe is coming soon, man. Good hip hop, good luxury drug rap that gets you through the day.
Word. Yeah, this one is I don't want to, you can't label nothing like an instant classic or whatever, but I think that in just representing how many different ways that you can talk about cocaine, if I'm being honest, this is one of the ones that, this is a shining example that I would say, if you want something different, try this.